Hey, it's Laura with Nelson Farms, and today we're going to talk about canning water. So why would you want to can water? This is one of the most important things you probably need to can and have on hand, and here's why. I feel like a lot of us already hoard up and store up bottled water in case of emergencies, and that's really a great thing to do, especially for short-term emergencies. But long-term, thinking years in the future, that bottled water is not going to be good years in the future. So if you're thinking long-term storage, then canning water is really a good option, because if you can it right, it's going to last for decades, and you're going to have water that you can drink, use to cook with, use to wash with. That's good for decades. It's also super easy to do. It's the easiest thing, literally, that you can. So I'm going to show you today how to do it. Here's what you're going to need to can water. You need a canner. So I'm going to use the steam canner because this is my favorite way to can. You can also use a water bath canner, or you can use a pressure canner. Totally up to you which way you want to do it. My steam canner holds 7 jars at a time, so obviously I'm going to need 7 jars, 7 lids, and 7 screw tops to go along with this. You're also going to need a big pot to boil your water. So we have well water here. I'm literally going to get the water from the sink and boil it for 5 minutes, and that's the water I'm going to use. So those are the things you're going to need. That's all you're going to need to do this. I will throw in there though that this is super fast and easy, so you can make a huge batch. Like, my steam canner holds 7 jars at a time, so I could easily do 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, and just like knock out like 35 jars quickly. The other thing to do, I'm going to show you how to do this today, but keep in mind when you're canning other things, you can always, like when you put in your other things to can, if you have an empty spot, so say you're canning some jelly or whatever, and you have like an empty spot because you didn't have quite enough to can like 7 things of jelly, you can throw in a thing of water and just build up your water stash that way by adding in a little bit when you don't have a full load, okay? You can do that too. First thing you need to do is fill up your pot with some water. So I have my water on the stove, waiting on it to boil, and I have all of my jars and my lids and the dishwasher going through a quick cycle, and that's all I need to do to get those good and clean. So after the water boils for 5 minutes and these are hot and ready to go, I can fill them up with the water and put them in the steam canner. That's it. So while I'm waiting on my water to boil, I get my little station ready, and there are my lids and hot water. And then there's my funnel and my little jar grabber. I like to keep all my stuff all together and ready so that when that water's ready, we can get moving. So I'm also going to get my steam canner ready, and the only thing you have to do with this is fill it up with water to this platform here, and then we're going to set it on the stove and let it start heating up. The water's boiling, so we're going to give that 5 full minutes. Then we're ready to can. Make sure that your jars are warm or hot, because this water you're putting in there is boiling, so you don't want the glass to break because of that temperature shock. So I like to pull mine right out of the dishwasher, and they're really good and hot. And it's easier to use a funnel. As you can see, that's what I'm doing. I just use that funnel, and you want to leave about a 1/2 inch of headspace at the top. So that just means at the very top, you want to leave a 1/2 inch where there's nothing there. And if you're not sure, if you can't eyeball that, if you're not sure how far that is, you can use one of those little measurers to be exact. And then you just pour the water in, just like you would pour anything else in that you were canning. So I'm going to do these 3 cans. And then, even though this is just water, I'm still going to get a paper towel. I'm going to wipe around the rims to make sure there's no debris or particles, and just to dry them off good before I set those lids. And you see my lids sitting there. They were in really hot water, and they're new and they're clean. I always use clean, new lids for this. Some people will reuse their lids for canning, but I never do. I just go ahead and get the new ones. So there. I'm gonna wipe those off. That, again, those jars are so hot, so I like to use a little pot holder for that. And then put a lid on each one of those. And then you want to screw on the bands. I do reuse those bands. They were also in the dishwasher. But you screw those on to fingertip tightness, which is just what you can do with your hand, no tighter. And then they're ready to go over in the steam canner. And I've already done 4 jars, so this is the last 3 that I'm going to put in the canner. Easy as pie. There you go. So the jars are in here. Now I'm going to put the lid on, and I've told you this before. The only thing about the steam canner is sometimes you have to kind of shimmy that lid to go on perfect. So I'm going to show you that process. So just shimmy it down on there. It actually went on pretty easy, of course. So they're all in here. All 7 jars are in here. The lid is on, and I have us on like about medium heat. And what we're doing is we're waiting for the red to get over in my zone. So let me show you. This green area is my zone, so I'm waiting to see that red get right over here in the green. And when it hits this green, then I'm gonna start the timer. So until it hits the green, I'm gonna leave it right here. It's on double between medium and low. When it hits that green, I'm gonna turn this down a little bit because it won't need to be as hot. Okay, we're in the green, so I am going to start the timer for 10 minutes and turn the heat down just a little bit because you don't need it to keep getting hotter. You just need it to stay at the same temperature for 10 minutes. If you do happen to fall below the correct pressure, whether you're using the steam canner or your pressure canner, then all you need to do is start the timer over. It's not really the end of the world. You just have to start the timer over. Time's up, so I'm just going to turn that eye off, let it sit a few minutes, uncover it, and we'll pull those jars off. And that's it, y'all. Super easy. So it would be really easy right now to just throw in another batch because I have everything out and ready to go. Good for decades. Did you hear that pop? Nice. That's it. It's super easy, and it's gonna come in handy if there's an emergency and you need drinking water, bathing water, cooking water. You're gonna have it for years to come. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope it was helpful. Ask any questions, and please subscribe, and we'll see you next time.